Alright, what we got here is a 1952 Kh7 Super 10 Mercury Cruiser. This was only made in 1952 because it was the last year with the gas tank on top, the green top gas tank on board, and it is a full shift motor. It has a forward, neutral, and the reverse. Alright, this Kh7 is just like all the other Mercuries. We have our choke knob, we have our fuel shut off. This time our high speed is accessible from the outside. As you can see, it's sticking outside the cowl. Most of the other ones are on the inside. Of course, the low speed is still in through the little hole there, which you'll have to have a screwdriver to get, but most of the time the low speed stays pretty well where you set it. So this little Kh7, like I say, was a transitional motor. It received the bigger prop, which you see on most of the Mark 20s and 15s right now, and the full shift, which is accessible from this little handle right here. This would be forward, neutral, and reverse. That's right there. And also, it has the twist grip for your speed. That's where you would start it, stop it, start it, and run fast. I'm having a hard time focusing on this, but anyway, that's where it does all from your twist grip there and your speed and shifting. Put it to shifting point and where it's a slow idle, and then you can shift it into gear. This outboard is a 20 cubic inch outboard, which is all of Mercury's 10 horsepower, but of course we all know they're a little bit bigger than that. And when this Kh7 came out first year, it had little troubles with the water pumps. The water pumps in the lower unit there just didn't cool this thing enough. They were smaller, so a lot of these ran hot. The newer ones, which were the Mark 15s and the Mark 20s, they had a bigger water pump. So these things from the factory were changed at their expense, the way I understand. You take them in and get them changed, and then they would run a lot cooler than they did. But this particular one, when I got it, had the old water pump in it, so I went ahead and changed it over. And those holes right there, you had to drill on one side. They're only drilled on one side. You have to drill them on both sides. And there was a little Mercury trouble report out on this thing, and it kind of showed you how to do all of this and how to make it run a little cooler. Before we put it in the test barrel, I've got a little old advertisement. Came out of one of the old Mechanics Illustrated magazines, and it shows the old Kh7, and the captions is "Move up to Mercury Cruiser, the outboard that will still be copied years from now." And that was in the, thought that was kind of neat. That's a Mechanic Illustrated, and that is the original copy inside there out of the book. So the old Mercury Cruiser is the one that kind of started all of the shifting, and which the Mark motors came after. And little transitional motor, runs very nice. Like I say, this motor I've worked on probably more than any of my outboards. I replaced everything in it maybe twice, not just once but twice, just to make sure everything is right. But it is, next to my Scott, probably the favorite outboard motor that I have. So there you go, Kh7 Mercury, 10 horsepower. Actually, some people say they're 16s. but there it is, 1952, the only year they made it. A very powerful and nice running outboard. Alright, before we take the cage outside and put it in a barrel, I just had to take out the lower shroud. These things just, to me, look a lot better with the shroud off. I guess that's why most of the motors that you find never have them. But in my display case, I have made a place for mine. It hangs right there on the door, right below the little Mercury advertisement. It stays right there most of the time, and most of the time the old cage looks just like this. And my grandson likes it like this, and I honestly like it without the cover off. I do like it with the cover off. Okay, one more thing in the back. These I guess these Mercuries are hard on plugs, because inside the head is tapped 2 places to put spare plugs. So you got 2 spark plugs running and 2 waiting. And I think, believe me, you need all 4 of them. Because if you idle this thing a little bit too long, she's going to foul the plug. You need to get out on the boat and open her up, and then the plug won't foul as much. So we're going to leave the cover off of it, this lower shroud, and we're going to put it in the water the way it is. I think most of the Mercuries are meant to run without the shroud. So we'll be in the test barrel a little bit. We've got the Kh7 in the barrel. We're going to make sure the vent's open. We're going to make sure the fuel's open. Of course, the choke is off with the cover off. I'm going to see if we can start her. Put her in the shifting or start position. Let's go. The old Kh7 never liked to idle very much. He's always want to run fast. So we're going to go ahead and throw her in gear now. This will be forward. Go back to neutral and to reverse. Okay. I'm going to sneak around the side over here and look at the water pump. A little stream of water coming out of the side of the motor is the water pump, and that thing's running. The water pump is running correctly. So that's your little Kh7. Little transitional 1952 motor. Still got the green top on her. And the full shift. Go ahead and run it out of fuel now. I'm going to close the fuel off. And we're going to go ahead and see if this little Kh7 run out of fuel. I'm going to rev it up a little bit too. That'll help it run out of fuel. There you go. So there's your little Kh7, your little transitional Mercury motor from the gear shift, forward, neutral, reverse. The early models didn't have it. 51, they wanted it, but they put it on the 52 model, and then after 52 this model wasn't around anymore. So I like this little model. It's a very nice little motor. It's called Cruiser. The Mercury Cruiser. See if we can. Yeah, there we go. Cruiser. And it's a Kh7 Super 10. And I had this on my boat one time. And this little Mercury will move. Very fast little outboard. Kh7, 1952 Mercury Cruiser.